SaharaTV, you're welcome. Last week thereabouts, we received a frantic phone call from an unnamed soldier somewhere in Nigeria. He said somebody was trying to kill them. He said they were on death row and they are facing charges for mutiny. He also said that they had been starved for several days without food and water. And lastly, he said, call lawyer Femi Falana. I would like you to listen to this short audio tape, and we'll be right back with this interview. Yes, sir. So tell me, what's going on? What exactly is going on? Why did they arrest you?
Because they saw phone here, we are doing something, and they find out that we are using phone here. That is why they started marking us like this.
Yeah, but why did they arrest you in the first place? You are soldiers, right?
Huh?
You are soldiers, are you?
I did not hear you, sir.
I said, are you soldiers? I get information that you are soldiers.
Yes, we are soldiers.
You what?
We are soldiers.
Okay, so what happened? What exactly happened? Why were you arrested?
Sir?
Hello? Okay, so we have on the line right now lawyer Femi Falana, a noted human rights lawyer in Nigeria. You're welcome to SaharaTV, lawyer Falana.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
So let me start by asking you, sir, are you familiar with these soldiers? They've been trying frantically to reach you. Have they been able to make contact with you?
Yes, I'm in touch with them. And I'm taking up their basic complaint, which is that they are currently being staffed and being dehumanized by the military authorities that are supposed to have taken them to the jailhouse, have convicted them. But they are still being kept in an underground cell somewhere in Lagos.
Mm. So by way of exposition, though, I need to tell our viewers that these are 12 soldiers who were charged with mutiny and attempt to murder, among a litany of other charges, and have been sentenced to death. They are being held somewhere in Lagos, I believe, and that is who we're talking about right now. Lawyer Falana, let me ask you again. Originally, these soldiers were tried in the court of martial law. Is it's switching now? You're taking it out of the court of the martial court and taking it into a civil court of law?
Well, under the Armed Forces Act, soldiers who are convicted of any offense whatsoever and sentenced by the court martial are entitled to appeal to the Court of Appeal after the authorities might have confirmed the sentence. In the particular instance, these 12 soldiers are among 70 that have been convicted and sentenced to death. The military authorities are required, the Chief of Army Staff, to have confirmed their sentences since November in the case of the 12th, and in the case of the 59 others in February. They were convicted in December. In other words, confirmation or review should take place not than 2 months after conviction, but now it's about 6 months or 7 months in the case of the 12th. Up to now, the military authorities have not done anything, So they should have known their fate by now. And because the confirmation has not taken place, they have been denied of appeal under the Armed Forces Act and under the Nigerian Constitution. So it's a litany of illegality being committed by the military authorities against these soldiers.
Sir, but I mean, mutiny is a rather serious charge, and in any situation that will be treated very seriously. However, they are still living, and they are supposed to have been executed by now. Wouldn't you rather see that as a good omen that they haven't been shot by now?
No. The military authorities have no right to execute them without allowing them to exercise their right of appeal. You have to appreciate that we are no longer under a military dictatorship. We are now under a civil dispensation. Anybody who is convicted by any court of law or a court martial is entitled to appeal the highest court in the land. In the case of these soldiers, we are going to the Court of Appeal, and if for anything, and I doubt, the Court of Appeal affirms the sentences pronounced on them by the court martial, we are going to the Supreme Court. But I can assure you, the verdicts cannot stand before a properly constituted court of law.
Why is that so? Isn't it clear that mutiny in the army is a serious charge? What kind of defense would you put up?
Mutiny in this case, the soldiers did not commit mutiny. They were asking for weapons to fight the dreaded Boko Haram sect. Under section 217 of the Nigerian Constitution, the Federation, the government of Nigeria, shall equip adequately. In this case, the government fails in its responsibility to the army and simply asked these boys to go and commit suicide. They did not join the army to commit suicide. They joined the army to fight for their fatherland. And because the authorities did not provide weapons, they refused to fight and insisted that the weapons had to be provided. And as you are jolly well aware, the government later came out in December. In February, to say, please give us 6 weeks, extend the election, because we have just new equipment, we want to fight the Boko Haram sect. And that is when the armed forces took upper hand in the fight against terrorism. So that act in itself, the president went to the National Assembly in September last year to get approval for a loan of $1 billion to buy equipment. The fact that the equipment was later bought, the fact that the Nigerian forces have now been able to give the Boko Haram sharps a serious fight, for their men. Now, that will be an opportunity for us in the Court of Appeal to make a strong case for the acquittal of these soldiers. Because at the time they were sentenced to death, there was no basis, because they didn't have the weapons to fight.
I see. We read, however, in the reports that they actually shot at the officer commanding the 7th Division. And as a matter of fact, there were signs of bullet marks. I'm just repeating or reiterating what the report said, that there were bullet holes on the car of the commanding officer.
No, it was unfortunate. I will not readily for such reckless violence, but from the circumstances of the case, the soldiers were really provoked. 10 bodies of their colleagues were just brought to the barracks, again recklessly by somebody who wanted to provoke them. It was at that time that the general officer commanding came to visit the barracks. It was true they shot at his car, but it was not meant to kill him. Otherwise, so close to him that they would have fired at him directly. But besides that, I insist that has been an offense. That was a strike under Section 84 of the Armed Forces Act. That's not mutiny. But in any case, the authorities investigated and found that the complaints of the soldiers were well established, i.e. that the GOC did not make their operational allowances available to them. It did not pay them as and when due. They were not given food, they were not given accommodation, and they were not given equipment to fight. The authorities so found and have since retired the general officer commanding at the material time on General Mohammed. I
see. So right now the case, as you just said, has taken another turn. You are now taking on the issue of starvation or the alleged starvation, which is quite different from...
Bail.
Yes.
We're taking up their bail, but as those boys are languishing in jail, others are being tried. Between last year and now, over 500 soldiers are in the free. I think the authorities are now finding it increasingly difficult to put them on trial. Just today, just this afternoon, 181 soldiers who were arrested in November last year were tried by a commander in Jos and sentenced to be pronounced on them on Monday. So it's been a recurring, situation.
Okay, so my substantive question really, sir, was you are now taking up the issue of alleged starvation before you actually move on to deal with the bigger case, which is the death sentence. What can you tell us about the starvation allegation, sir?
I beg your pardon? Come again.
I'm saying that you mentioned that you are actually taking up the issue of the alleged starvation before you move on to the bigger picture, which is the death sentence.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you, sir,
Yeah.
what have you heard so far about the alleged starvation?
Well, the authorities refused to seal them last week. It was alleged that one of them was caught with a phone, a handset, which is part of the intimidation. In this age and time, every prisoner, no more than states, every prisoner is allowed to have communication with family. Since these boys were sentenced to death, the 12 of them in September last year, they have been held incommunicado, no contact with their family members, their children, whatsoever, and that itself is dehumanizing. And so there was no basis at all for seizing their handsets and then subjecting them to starvation. It's not permissible under our law, and we're taking it up appropriately.
Do you know if they have fed them anything since this phone call was made? This was about last week, and at the time the phone call was made, they had not been fed for 5 days. Do you know if the situation has changed?
The point I'm making is that ordinarily, in this age and time, prison authorities are required to provide direct communication. In fact, under our law, every prisoner is entitled to visitation by friends, family members, and lawyers. But in this particular instance, these guys are kept underground, an underground cell. They are dehumanized. They are not allowed to see the sun and no contact with their families. So there is no basis for it. Anybody in the circumstance will be frustrated to want to communicate to the outside world.
But have they been fed, sir? Do you know if for the past week or so, they have been fed, they have been given any food?
No, they have not been fed.
Up till now?
As of this morning, they have not been fed.
Interesting. Okay.
And I've taken this up with the authorities because if any of them dies, that will be direct extrajudicial killing, not permissible by law.
All right, sir. So where do we stand right now? Where does the case stand? What kind of inroads have you made, and what's the strategy going forward?
I've sent a petition to the authorities. I intend to, on a level, I'm sending a letter to the president. And since the government wind up, I'm asking the president to exercise his prerogative of mercy, Section 175 of the Constitution, by quashing the conviction and sentence pronounced on these soldiers, so that they can join their colleagues, families. That's what I'm doing now for all the soldiers who have been subjected to horrendous treatment.
Okay, so when you say
they are alleged to have been during the war.
Okay, when you say president, do you mean outgoing President Jonathan or incoming President Buhari?
The outgoing president. The outgoing president, because he has the power under the law to grant them amnesty, to grant them, amnesty.
Okay, thank you so much, Lawyer Femi Falana. Thank you for your time today, sir.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Lawyer Femi Falana, human rights lawyer, speaking to us about the fate of the 12 death row soldiers in Nigeria. SaharaTV, stay tuned. We have more coming your way.